Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I am gonna start doing some little photo series here. You can call it a series if you want to. I don't know what it really is, but I'm gonna do kind of like a how I shot it type deal. We're gonna put some photos up. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. If I got some behind the scenes I can share, that'll even be more beneficial. But we're gonna go over the lighting. We're gonna go over the composition, the settings, kind of the idea that we got behind it. And we'll just kind of let it roll, and hopefully it inspires more people and gives more feedback, a little bit of education on how you can replicate something on your own. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So in this particular case right here, I was in Oklahoma for about 2 years. I had a dancer who went to Oral Roberts University, and she wanted to get some shots done for her in motion. Originally, we were planning on doing something, studio-esque. We couldn't really find something that was large enough and that really matched our idea. So I made a suggestion about doing an outdoor shoot. And there's a place where I like to go fishing all the time. And it had a really nice long walkway out with some water behind it, some rocks, just a big open area with a nice sunset if you timed it right. So I made the suggestion and she was all about it. So we drove out, set it up, and let's go ahead and see what we captured. So at this point in time as we're shooting, to what the naked eye would see, it's a sunset and it looks pretty good, but to the naked eye, it's still going to be pretty overexposed. Because as the sun's dropping, it's not quite below the horizon, so you're not going to get to see a whole lot of colors in the sky. It's still going to be pretty darn bright. So what I like to do in situations like this is to use high-speed sync, basically, which means I'm able to use really high shutter speeds, low ISOs, and combined with flash power, I'm able to darken down the frame, get a very dramatic sky, add in lots of colors, add in lots of contrast, and then I can light my subject and get a pretty artistic photo, something that's very creative, something you can print out in a canvas or a large photo and put it on your wall for years to come. In this particular situation, if you were going to shoot natural light and you're going to expose for your subject, your background's going to be pretty blown out. It's going to be overexposed. You might be able to do a little bit of editing in post and bring some colors back, but it's going to be pretty typical to what you see on most photography pages as far as natural light is concerned. However, I like to jump out the box a little bit and get, like I said, the high-speed sync, the more contrast, the more colors, and just be more creative about it. My particular style of photography, or at least the way I think about it, is I like to be more surreal when it comes to this. Yes, you can be there in the moment, you can shoot natural light, you can capture everything how it is and its ambient exposure. But to me, anybody can see that. Everybody with a cell phone, everybody who's there in the moment can see what's going on at that particular time. But to be able to bring lighting, adjust your settings, use your imagination, and create a more surreal, more creative, more imaginative situation, almost like a fantasy effect to it. That's what I really like to portray in my artwork. In this case here, to get the sunset the way it appears in the photo, I had to drop all the way down to ISO 50. That's the lowest that my camera will allow. And to turn my shutter speed all the way up to 1/6400th of a second. The reason I dropped my ISO so low and my shutter speed so fast is because I wanted to shoot at f1.4. If you're familiar with shooting at apertures that wide at f1.4 in the daytime, whether it's sunrise, sunset, or the middle of the day, the exposure is really, really, really bright, insanely bright. So you either have to compensate ISO or your shutter speed or your aperture. In this case, I've already mentioned I wanted to stay at 1.4. So by going to 1/6400th of a second and ISO 50, I was able to get the sunset to look how I imagined. So for my main light, which is camera right of the subject, I have the Godox AD600. It's in a 36-inch softbox. And I have it, I believe, set to full power. And in this situation with my ISO being so low, shutter speed being so high, and this far away from my subject so it's not in the frame, just about any case like this, you're going to have to put your lights on full power or close to it. For my secondary light, I had the Godox AD200 inside a 7-inch reflector, which I ordered off Amazon. I believe it's Godox and maybe some other brand, not 100% sure. For the modifier I put inside of it, which is not necessary, but I wanted to try it out. I had done some shoots before using the reflector and this mag sphere, but by placing this mag sphere inside of it, to me, in theory, it was able to spread out the light more inside the reflector to brighten it up and punch more light towards my subject. So let's do a quick little recap. 85mm, f1.4, a low ISO, a high shutter speed, shooting high speed sync. This allows us to get the ambient exposure in the background to look how we want. Then we add in our two lights, AD600, AD200, one using the softbox, one using a reflector and a mag sphere. We set them both to high power, which in this case was necessary to add enough light to our subject without being too close in the frame to where we, because when it's too close in the frame, if you got a busy background, it's hard to Photoshop out. In this case, we were able to pull it just far enough away to light our subject how we wanted without spending extra time in Photoshop. So hopefully what I've shown you here today will give you the right education and inspire you to be able to get out and shoot for your clients in any time of day, whether it's sunset, sunrise, midday, cloudy day, what have it. You will have tools to get out and get the shot done at any given time.